It's not like me.
Right.
Like if you look at me a decade ago, I look like I was in a same-sex marriage with my ex-wife. It was not good.
Jesus Christ. I was in a same-sex marriage with my ex-wife.
That was a good one. Welcome back to the newest, latest, and greatest episode of the League of Liberty podcast, which we deliver exclusively to those who support our respective shows. Of course, if you are a member of the Lions of Liberty Pride or you support us on Patreon, those are the same thing. Please get over to Patreon sooner than later. You can hear this show as well as if you are a supporter of the Lava Flow podcast on Patreon, or We Are Libertarians on Patreon, or if you're a member of Johnny Rocket Launchpad Backstage Pass, because these are the 4 shows that come together for this very, very special monthly or so show where we talk about random things liberty and sometimes get into heated conversations, but we don't need to talk about that. Instead, I will bring in my my co-hosts. We are co-hosts here. First of all, the newly sounding audible to us, Johnny Adams.
Hey, Marc and the fellers. By the way, I have my Patreon now, too. So you can go to patreon.com.
Oh, we're all on Patreon now.
/JR Launchpad. So, yeah, we have the backstage pass over there now. So we got that shit scored away.
I think we all tried some different things at first. Well, I think Rodger and Chris have pretty much always been on Patreon. And then at the end of the day, it just makes more sense to be over there. And Matt, I'm already so happy I'm on Patreon. It's so much more organized. They really make it easy to communicate with people. And there's so many different things we can do on there. You can do like video live streams. They have this new lens feature that's kind of like a Snapchat thing. And you can do it all from the app. So I think all of us being on Patreon is going to be really cool for us for various ways we can all interact with our listeners. But we should probably bring in the other guys. We've got Rodger, Lava Flow, PorcFest running, Paxton. What's up?
What the actual fuck, guys? It's great to be back.
What in the
Right
actual
on.
fuck?
It's been an actual month, too.
It has.
Not like 2 months, right?
Yeah, we're on point today.
Yep.
We are on schedule, and of course, as always, that damn statist himself, Chris Spangle. We are Libertarians.
For fuck's sake.
I
swear to
kid.
God.
Hey, Chris, it's taxation theft.
Yes, it's
Just answer the question, Chris.
So when
Answer the fucking question.
So
Say
when I
the
went
words
back,
we all want to hear.
so when I went back and listened to it, because I edited it, and I was just like, I don't want to edit this. I was so salty.
That's why we agree on who edits before we start the show.
Hey, I edited the first one where we had our spat. So
It sucks, doesn't it, Roger?
Do you want the
it
pussy
does.
one?
It does.
Do you want the pussy one? Or do you want the real man? Are you going to take it like
Right.
a man? Or are you going to be a bitch?
So-
That was what the first one was.
I was so annoyed with Rodger in that moment, and what I did is, if you go back and listen to it, I kind of put it higher up in the mix just for this moment right here. I was going, whatever, Rodger, yes, taxation isn't theft, blah, blah, blah. I was being sarcastic, and then that's what Rodger seized on for an entire episode. And then,
it's funny that you can go back, after the fact and say that it's theft. But at the time, that it was sarcastic. But at the time, you were, kind of trying to defend it a little bit and not answering the question. So
no, what I was
you
doing,
said that after
we're
the
not
edit, but
we're
I'm
not
sure
going
what
to do
about
this
it.
Okay,
right off
here
the
we
bat,
go.
Rodger.
Yes,
What
we
I-
are.
You brought it up, Chris. You brought it up.
Part
Just say it.
3.
No,
Let's
I
go.
didn't.
Let's do it.
Technically, I did this by sarcastically calling Chris a statist.
Okay,
Let
you're
me
right.
start.
Exactly,
Mark
no.
did bring it up. Mark did bring it up. You're right.
No, I was just trying to end the conversation because you were already starting to go down the road, and I was like, I don't want another redo because my audience fucking hates Rodger at this point. I'd be lucky if
Do you really think that my audience loves some Chris Spangle?
Oh, of course
I mean,
not.
Seriously.
like
Oh,
every
God.
But that's
episode.
what makes this fun. But look, that's what makes this fun. I mean, we can have our tiffs, but at the end of the day, we still have, for the most part, the same goals, and that's what's the big deal at the end of the day. I mean, all this back end, infighting bullshit, those things are important because it helps us. Identify and define our points better and be able to communicate those points better. I mean, people who bitch about infighting, I don't understand that because it really helps hone your argument. I
Roger?
think infighting is very important.
I agree.
But I will say that out in the wild, which this was not an Out in the Wild podcast, I think that, like on Facebook, that's not the place to do those sorts of things.
Well, yeah, there's a reason that this is a patron-only podcast, because it is more inside baseball. It is more just kind of giving each other shit in many ways and digging into issues in ways we might not do if we were producing a public podcast or if we were on our public Facebook page or that kind of thing.
Can we give somebody else shit this episode? Because I'm tired of it.
I'll take some shit.
I want to say, Rodger, you and I are in 100% agreement. We actually agree completely. I think infighting, quote unquote, is a pussy on Facebook going, can we please stop the infighting? I don't want to have to think for myself, and I just want everybody to get along. I don't want to have to come up with an argument. I just want everyone to like me.
Right. You're exactly right, Chris.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Okay. So I just think that you're both assholes. All right. How's that?
Well, there's no argument there either.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to argue. How can I?
Well, I'm glad you guys can hear me now, finally, after fucking how many episodes?
Yeah, after months and months
Johnny,
of not,
welcome to the...
Welcome to the show. I think you guys heard me on the first one.
Oh, wait,
I think you
Johnny
guys
here?
did. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Now you guys are going to fuck with me. I can't hear you anymore, man.
Johnny, come in.
Because we are all...
Johnny, are you out there?
Some of the best audio editors in the game. Our listeners don't really know what was going on, but Johnny essentially couldn't speak. Like that's why we always have to go, Johnny, what do you think?
Right.
And when
it was like he was a vampire. He could only be brought into the show if he was first addressed, and then we all had to like hold our breath and not speak, and only then could we hear him.
And like during the fight, Johnny had some really funny lines, but they were under me or Rodger when we were making like a key point, so I had to delete it, and I felt so bad because Johnny was saying some really funny shit. So I'm glad.
I bet he was.
You turned off your cell phone because your bandwidth apparently blows, and now we can hear you. So it's great.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's all you had to do. All you had to do was turn off your cell phone's Wi-Fi, which is apparently downloading like the fucking War and Peace of porn, and we're all good.
We're good. We're golden like a shower. And I didn't even realize it because usually I use, like the LTE data on my phone because I have unlimited data. So every once in a while when I go home, it just automatically connects to my Wi-Fi.
Every once in a while you're home? Where are you at?
Home.
Yeah, automatically starts downloading porn.
Yeah, porn. The War and Peace of porn. And it's a very long pornography. It's 70s, Harry Bush shit, So that's usually where I usually go. So
starring Barry McCockiner.
I thought we're talking about PorcFest. So what's the deal with this? So the next show will actually be at PorcFest. Is that right?
That is, yes. That's the trajectory we're on. It's actually almost exactly a month from now, a little over a month from now, maybe 33
June
days.
June 22nd is when our recording is for League of Liberty. Yeah, the 11th.
Well,
11 o'clock on June 22nd.
Let me set this up. Rodger, let's say your life is a mess and you only live day to day like I do, and you haven't really thought about your trip to PorcFest in any way, shape, or form. You don't really know what PorcFest is other than a bunch of Liberty LARPers getting together and smoking weed, I'm sure. But I'm sure that's just a stereotype. So I want to ask Rodger, what is PorcFest? And kind of like a for dummies guide to PorcFest, because when we're actually on stage at PorcFest, I think it'd be good to give people a little context before we get there. So without further ado, here's Rodger Paxton for the next 30 minutes to monologue on PorcFest.
I'm going to go smoke my vape and take a nap.
Right, I'm going to eat this
Well, it
chicken
doesn't
bowl.
really take that long. So PorcFest is the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which is the yearly annual convention, for lack of a better term, put on by the Free State Project and the White Mountains of New Hampshire. We have around anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 libertarians, anarchists, voluntarists come out to the woods, to the beautiful White Mountains at Rodger's Campground to basically camp out for a week, hear amazing speakers, see amazing parties. Backwards is putting on a concert. We've got Ben Swan coming, David Friedman, Jeffrey Tucker, tons of amazing speakers. And basically, it's where you find your tribe. I mean, you come and you live anarchy for a week. I mean, we've got Agora Valley, which is where there'll be dozens of different vendors there selling everything from food to ganja. And you can buy it with Bitcoin, silver, cash, credit, whatever. So, I mean, it's basically living anarchy. I remember the first year that we went, we took my kids and we basically just let them run for a week, and it gave them so much confidence to be able to do those things. But we were able to do that in such a safe space because I know I can trust these people. I mean, these people are my family. So if you want to, spend a week with your libertarian family in a beautiful location and smoke pot too, come to PorcFest.
Okay, and you guys have beer there, right?
Oh, well, I mean, so legally, we're not allowed to sell alcohol there, but there will be some vendors there who are selling things under the table, I'm sure. There usually are. But, of course, you can bring your own and put it in your cooler or whatever. So personal consumption is no issue at all.
It's actually a good question. How I know we're kind of in the boonies there at PorcFest. How much should we stock up like before we get into town, or is there stuff in that area? This is important stuff for everybody to know.
There's a small town a few miles away, and there's a big town, 30 minutes, I say big, but, it has a Walmart and stuff about 30 minutes away. So, yeah, you're way up there, but it's not like you're, hours away from civilization. So, if you forget stuff, there's a Walmart not far away, hour round trip, no big deal.
So, internet.
Yeah.
Not that I have to actually have, is there some Wi-Fi? I'm talking about my internet, right? Like, I really have the best there is. But
I can tell you this, Johnny, it's better than yours.
Okay, good.
No, but seriously, we've always had an issue with that because when you get 1,500 people in one place, all with their laptops and their mobile phones and all this shit.
All downloading porn at once, yeah.
Right. We'll get away from our parents' basement for a week. We got to, whatever. But anyway, so yeah, that's always been a struggle. But this year I've been talking to the guys who run the Wi-Fi out there, and they say they really beefed it up, and they think it's going to be much better this year. But I heard that last year too. So
they look at the logs and they're like, 87 gigs of downloads of Murray Rothbard books? What the hell? These people are nuts. I am staying at a hotel. Are you guys camping out at the place? Are you at a hotel? What are you guys doing?
I'm getting a hotel.
You're getting?
You better
should
get.
Probably have it already if you didn't get it.
I have it.
Yeah.
We booked it.
Are you guys staying at the Cabot?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. It's like a green little hotel somewhere.
Yeah, it's half a mile away. It's an easy walk.
That's where I'm at.
I'm actually staying on site because I've got to be there 24/7. But they have these 4 little cabins there that are just gorgeous, and they're kind of right in the middle of everything. And I'm going to be in one of those cabins. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. I figured I'd just go with the hotel. Do they have Wi-Fi?
I assume so. I've never been to the Cabot, but they are going to have a restaurant there. They just opened this week at the Cabot that is taking cryptocurrencies. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
I have cryptocurrency, but I could not tell you how to spend it.
I have.
Trust me, you'll find out at PorcFest. You will be able to spend it
I'm
everywhere.
sure I will.
I bought a little too high, so I can't spend it.
Scan my Coinbase.
Now,
I just want to be able to use my Coinbase like it's Apple Pay. That's what I want to be able to do.
Coinbase, probably not.
I need to get like a real wallet or something.
Well,
right?
Dash. Dash is really good for that. A lot of our vendors are going to be using a point-of-sale system called AnyPay, and actually AnyPay is one of our big sponsors for PorcFest this year. AnyPay is a POS system developed by, have you guys ever heard of Derek J. Freeman? Derek J.'s Victimless Crime Spree?
No.
Yeah. Anyway, he and his partner developed this product called AnyPay that's a great point-of-sale system for Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and a couple other cryptocurrencies. And it really does make the purchasing much less painful for cryptocurrency. I mean, it's really just as easy as an Apple Pay, to be honest. But it only takes Dash or Bitcoin Cash, and I think Bitcoin. But it's pretty easy.
Very cool.
That's my goal. One of my goals at PorcFest is to become a real libertarian. I've become a real libertarian a couple ways this year. I got a Judd Weiss photo, so that was one checkbox. And then I'm going to spend some cryptocurrency, preferably on something illegal. I don't know. We'll see. But I want to at least spend some cryptocurrency.
See, I'm with you, Mark. I'm in the same boat, man. I have Coinbase, right? And
let's buy something from each other with cryptocurrency.
Yeah, there we go. And then we can say we're real libertarians.
Yeah, we'll just send it to each other. Be like, hey, Johnny,
and I have the Judd Weiss picture. Yeah, I have the Judd Weiss picture too, so I must be official.
I got my Judd Weiss picture at PorcFest last year.
I saw him at the Students for Liberty in February, but I was a little too shy to go, will you take my picture? So I didn't actually get one.
No, I didn't ask him to. He just did it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a badass picture too, Johnny. A badass
You don't ask for Judd Weiss photos. They just have to happen to you.
Is there ever a photo of Johnny that's not badass? I mean, he just has the look and the whole thing, right?
It's a fair point. I've never seen a photo of Johnny and gone, God, what a little bitch.
Right.
I'm always smoking. I always have some sort of drink and, a cigar or some bullshit.
It's not like me. Right. Like, if you look at me a decade ago, I look like I was in a same-sex marriage with my ex-wife. It was not good.
Jesus Christ. I was in a same-sex marriage with my ex-wife.
That was a good one.
That was awesome.
That was the Spangle line of the year. Right there.
Oh, that was the best line of the show so far. That's 15 minutes. That's like 10 minutes in. Oh, man, that's good.
I don't know if I'm looking forward more to getting drunk with Johnny or Rodger, and Rodger, I should say, as well as all my Lions compatriots all at the same time, or if I'm more looking forward to Chris watching us all drink and seeing and seeing his perspective of
Rodger,
what happens
Is Chris
to all
going
of
to
us
actually be
together.
filming us drinking?
No,
that
so
could be in hop.
I enjoy being around drunk people. It makes them more tolerable, and they are more tolerable of me because I don't need to drink to enhance my personality. I already have too much. But
I need to drink to enjoy.
I'm
others'
drinking
personalities.
water.
I'll
I'm
drink
drinking
to that,
water right
Chris.
now.
I'm the guy that the next morning you look at and go, "What happened?" Now, Rodger, let's
what
say
she
you're at PorcFest and you don't drink and you don't smoke weed and you bought all of your crypto at $20,000 and now you only have $4. What is there to do at PorcFest?
There's a million things. I mean, we're going to have, I don't know, 6 or 8 different venues running at any given time, from podcasts in the media room, including all of our podcasts.
You can come watch Lions of Liberty's Whiskey Challenge live.
Yeah. We've got Creating Communities tent, which is going to have a lot of DIY type stuff and classes and those sorts of things. The main pavilion's going to have speaking going on and then parties in the evening. We got stuff for the kids. There's a full schedule for kids called Porcupints is what we call them. Then there's the big field where there's always going to be field activities going on, whether it's dodgeball or water games or doggy meetups. You name
Doggy
it. We've got.
meetups.
I want to go to the doggy meetup.
Oh shit!
Yeah, you need to, Chris.
Can I bring my dogs?
Seriously,
That'd be awesome.
But
No.
I mean,
Oh, it
there's-
involves canines? Never mind. I don't want to go to the doggy meetup.
at any given point, there's going to be 4 or 5 different events going on that you can choose from, or not. Just walk around Agora Valley, see what's cool to buy, and they take cash at most of those places too, or a lot of times credit cards. So there's always something to do.
I don't know how many of our listeners. We probably have 300-400 people that listen across our shows. I don't know what the crossover, but it may be worth saying when, if you know, Rodger, off the top of your head, when we're actually doing our shows.
Yes, so the League of Liberty is Friday the 22nd at 11. Your show, Chris, for We Are Libertarians is 9 a.m. on the 22nd. Libertarians in Living Rooms Drinking Liquor with Marc and Brian and John and others. I'm not going to say any names yet. Is at 7 p.m. that night on Friday. Electric Liberty Land is 10 a.m. on Saturday.
I can't tell you how many times Brian has bitched about that's happening because I made him. He's like, I'll be too hungover, and I'm like, well, do it, and it'll be fun.
How about you be
So
a professional, Brian? Be a professional like the rest of us podcasters.
Well, he will be
Wednesday-
hungover from the whiskey.
On Wednesday, we've got a trifecta of great podcasts. Johnny Rocket's right in the middle at 12 on Wednesday, but then right before
I'm the
him is-
sandwich. I'm the meat.
Yeah, right before him is Alan Mosley with the Gold Standard, which I understand is a good friend of yours, Johnny. And then right after Johnny is Sherry Voluntary podcast at 2. So there's 3 of those back to back on Wednesday. And we've got others. I mean, Sex and Science Hour with Stephanie Murphy, Brian Sovereign's doing one. Call to Freedom with Will Coley is going to be going on every day from 4 to 7. Just a ton of podcasts going on.
Who's this Sex and Science chick? What's that all about?
Stephanie Murphy. She is Porcupine. She moved up here several years ago. She's been on Free Talk Live. She started the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast years ago, one of the very first Bitcoin podcasts. She does voiceover work for a living. She's an awesome chick. She's actually she's taken. So
That's what. I think she's with Brian
all a relative
Sovereign.
term.
That's
yeah, she's with Brian.
yeah. That's what he was asking, Rodger.
Yeah, you could have just started with that. That would've been-
Oh, hey, Marc, she's taken. But she's a badass chick. I love her to death. I love hanging out with her and Brian. They're awesome.
Awkward moment.
Now
Chris
what?
is like, what does she look like?
No, I know Stephanie. Now,
Okay.
what should? I'm at 9 on Friday morning, so I can't imagine anybody will be in there.
Well, that's not true. I mean, that's the thing is people are on 24-hour schedules there. I mean, some people don't sleep hardly at all. Other people get up early and go to bed
I want to hang out with
early.
those people.
So, I mean, it just depends.
I
But
kind of want to just interview whoever's in the room at that point.
I'll
because
come. I got a podcast. Well, we got League of Liberty right after that, so I'll
I
be around.
I want these. The best way to do this, and I've been to several of these where where people have been doing live podcasts. The best way to do it is to get interactive with your audience. I mean, for sure. I mean, that's when people really want to. I mean, they come to they don't come to watch. They can listen to the fucking podcast anytime. They want to hang out and be interactive.
Yeah.
So I definitely encourage you guys to be interactive with your audience.
Yeah, I'd love for you. You're all invited. I didn't want to invite Rodger for many reasons, but mostly because I figured he was busy. But you're welcome to. All three of you are welcome to show up to my spot if you're awake. Yeah, we've done some live shows. We used to do a live show at a comedy club back in the day. And it's so much fun to do your show live because you do get to talk to the audience, and you get to you call somebody up from the audience not knowing anything about them, and then you have this amazing conversation with this like deep person that you never would have thought you would have had if you were sitting in your studio just talking to yourself. So it's so
you know
much
what I'm
fun
going to do?
live.
I just had an idea. I'm going to have the audience do rapid fire questions
Nice.
That'd be fun.
I love that.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
because
So you're
therefore
doing it Wednesday, right? I don't think I'm going to be
Yeah.
until Thursday, so I'm going to miss that sadly.
Yeah, I come in Thursday afternoon.
yeah, I'm there from the 18th to the 24th.
Oh shit! Will there
So
be
that'd be
anything
nice.
left of Johnny by Friday?
I'll be all fucked up. I can't do the show drunk.
Dude, you think you're doing it rough. I'm going to be there from the 15th through the 24th. So it's going to be
Yeah.
a long fucking week for me.
That's why I had a hotel room though, so I can get away if I want to. I'm getting that one where you can walk away. So
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So yeah, I'm gonna bring my girlfriend there with me. So she's like, fuck
Nice.
it, I'm going.
Nice.
So she bought the hotel room, so that worked out nice.
Is your girlfriend?
Mark, just so you know, Johnny's girlfriend is taken.
That's what I was going to ask. So
It doesn't
moving
stop
on.
that hair.
Taken is all relative till they get a look at the mane, man.
Right.
This thing melts vaginas.
Oh,
Sorry, Dad.
Oh,
Well, I got the
Sorry,
leather
Dad.
jacket. That
My dad's in the Pride, and so he supports us on Patreon. So I feel sometimes I say things. I'm like, sorry, Dad.
even now
I'm still
he-
going to say them. I'm
Even he's
37,
dry
so-
now. Ugh.
I just can't even think of what a melted vagina. That just, no, thank you.
They all kind of look. Never mind.
I was going to say melting hearts.
I guess
but then I was
a-
like,
I guess
no,
a
I got to be
melted-
dirtier.
a melted vagina would look like a grilled cheese sandwich.
I feel like we need to talk about dicks
Wow.
to make it equal, or else we're going to get a Me Too violation here. Okay. What about dicks, guys? You guys like
What
dicks?
about a melted dick? Jesus.
Oh my God, I'm crying.
See?
I mean,
Guys,
that's
this is
it
what
would look
happens
like.
when we get along. Everyone's complaining that we're arguing too much. Promise when we get along, it gets into sick ass territory.
Yeah, it really gets
Jesus
twisted.
Oh, fucking
Okay,
It
so
might
would
be better
never
when
be
we
able to-
argue.
her pussy
never
looks
gonna
like
be-
a cheese pizza with everything on it.
Now
I will
I'm
never-
really sorry.
All
Never
right,
be
now
able to eat a cheese-
Johnny, I
grilled
think you
cheese
need to
again.
make a statement. I think you need to apologize, Johnny.
Apologize to my father.
Hashtag me too.
Yeah.
Hashtag me too.
We should jump into some of these questions because we asked our audience if they wanted to hear us speak
Yeah.
on anything, and surprisingly, anyone said yes.
Lots of people said yes, believe it or not. That surprised me.
Why don't we just go down and see what makes sense to talk about? Some stuff might not make sense to talk about.
I'm not
Let's
even in
see.
the group, so
I've
Johnny,
got it. You're not in the
I'm
group. You,
looking.
you quit the League of Liberty group.
No, I'm not. I don't have it.
By the
pulled
way,
up.
for those who don't know, there is a League of Liberty podcast Facebook group that you can join. We just have to allow you in. So if you look like you might be someone who listens to one of our shows, we will let you in. So just look up League of Liberty podcast on Facebook and come in and talk about these things. There you go. Very simple.
There you have it.
William Wells wants to know, are me and Johnny at odds over something, and are we going to argue for 75% of the episode? I believe that it's just meant to be a slight on Rodger and Chris. So we'll move on from that.
Fuck
We already
you,
addressed that.
William Wells. By the way, I listened to the chairs debate on Lions of
Oh, yeah.
Liberty, which on Thursday we're actually I'm gonna pull audio of that and start breaking that down. So you'll basically be the whole We Are Libertarians episode on Thursday too.
Cool.
Because there's a lot
awesome.
in there. But William Wells asked a question about Bill Weld, and my mind was bending. I couldn't figure out if it was a troll.
Does Bill Weld support the pod? Is he a Lions of Liberty patron?
Yes, he's backstage pass member. Yeah, he joined the page.
Well, yeah, he joins for that whiskey, that freezer
Yeah,
whiskey.
he's like alcohol. Fuck yeah.
I actually he turned me down for an interview at the Libertarian Party of Indiana convention. I was like, dude, I'm the only one that will talk to you. You might want to take this interview.
physically in person.
Yeah.
Wait, he let Kokesh interview him, but to turn down Chris Spangle. He's like, this guy's gonna grill me too hard.
Yeah,
But
no
I'll talk to this Kokesh guy. He should be fine. What? Rhodes?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, in fairness, he's like 79 years old, and he had just given a speech, and he wanted to talk. He wanted to schmooze some delegates, but yeah, I was like, all right, well, you go talk to the lava flow then.
Hey, here's a great question. Jason Burt, he's actually a good friend of mine here in Washington. His question was, I think this would be a good conversation piece. Advances in technology such as facial recognition and their effects to liberty. I don't know, that's kind of cool.
Well, I mean, it depends. Obviously, if the government is using it and they're using it in public spaces, I'm totally against that. Of course, I'm against public spaces. but if it's a private organization on their own private property, I mean, you've got the liberty to not go to their fucking private property. So, I don't see that as an invasion of liberty at all in that situation.
Well, and like I was saying with Facebook, like with that whole Zuckerberg thing, people are like, oh my God, they're actually using our information for ads.
What did you think?
I'm like, what do you think they're fucking doing? Exactly. I'm
they
like,
ain't charging
okay.
you, so they're charging you. You're getting charged one way or another.
It's always cheaper when it's not free.
I think people don't have a concept of public space online. I think they think because they're alone in their room on their laptop, like myself, then they're not out in public. But really, Facebook and social media is a commons area. And if you're doing anything online at all connected to the internet, I mean, you're at risk for being hacked or for having that information stolen, which obviously we're against. But if you're on Facebook voluntarily giving out information or giving out iris scanning information or fingerprints, like, you have to be really careful about your data. And I think here in the beginning of the internet age, we were very enamored in the beginning with social media and things like Facebook, so we just freely gave up that information, and now we're all going, shit, I didn't mean to give you all this. I didn't know you had this power. And so hopefully, and I have noticed with like Gen Z, people under 21, they're way more careful about what they do online than us older millennials. And I think you just have to be really cognizant. There are some of those overarching like discussions going on that I haven't gotten my mind all the way around it in terms of the Terminator type stuff and AI will take over. And I read Dan Brown's Origin, which was really scary. I won't give away the ending. There is that stuff out there, and at what point does technology become the thing that is force? I don't know, but we're not there yet. So,
well, the reason that the new generation is being so careful is because they've seen us make all the fucking mistakes. Of course,
yeah.
I don't blame them at all. I mean, trust me, I wish I could go back and I mean, of course, all the information's out there now. There's not a damn thing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Well, again, I think there's a difference between when the government does it and when a private business does it.
Absolutely.
Let's just
of course.
I'd rather have the private business have my information than the government. Period.
Yeah, it can be
so
destroyed.
I think it's good. I think those things are really cool, though. I think those, I embrace that technology. I think like facial recognition, that saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, I don't have the iPhone 10, but I have the iPhone 8. And a lot of people are like, oh, they got your thumbprint. Like, that was a big deal to people. And I'm like, what's the fucking problem?
Apple,
Yeah, Apple's cool.
To that point, Apple is they're very cognizant of the information that they have, much more than I think any of the other companies, where the government will ask, for instance, to break into the San Bernardino phone, and and Apple just flat out says no, and then when they try to bear down, they're like, "We're Apple, fuck yourself, we're bigger than you."
Well, Apple's done several things in the last year or so to strengthen their phones, especially against authorities.
Yeah.
I just had one on my episode that I released today, where they've now added to their new update that if your phone has not been accessed for 7 days, then the USB access to your phone is shut off, and that's an attempt to thwart the two major companies that are selling their software to law enforcement agencies to be able to access your phone, and that's a direct attack into what they're trying to do. And I love that Apple's doing that. They're finally getting back to their roots of security, privacy, individuality. And because that's where they started, and they were kind of going, along the wrong path there for a while. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of the Apple universe, is that it's more closed down. It's not as open as Android. And I know there are a lot of tech people who prefer Android, but as we kind of march towards, more robust technology, that may be one thing to think about. I'm Apple. What about you guys? What are you guys, iPhone or Android?
Apple.
I'm all Apple.
Apple.
So Android people get fucked.
Yep.
See, I think the Apple.
Hold on. Keyboard. Go ahead, Rodger.
Sorry.
Oh, the keyboard's back.
Yo, come on,
ladies and gentlemen, our fifth host, Rodger's loud keyboard. Everybody.
I'm taking care of PorcFest business while we're doing this. I had somebody pop up asking a question about PorcFest. Sorry,
Johnny.
Nope.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, Apple products are just slick. I mean, they're cutting edge. And I think they're cheap in like regards to like actual build. I don't think they're as good as maybe some of the Android or the Samsung, right? I think those are slick too, but I think the build, I mean, every Apple computer I've ever had, the phones, the iPads, whatever, I mean, they're just fucking good.
Well,
I've never had a problem with one. And I think they're they're more like, they're just more easier to understand versus like Windows. You have to like right click, make new folder. Now you can start dragging shit around. But I remember like when Windows, you had to like actually send it, like send file to this folder. Yeah. With Windows, you just like grab it and move it. That's it. Boom.
I had a Galaxy 3 many years ago. I mean, that's an old phone now, but that was my only Android device. I mean, the software was buggy as shit. The apps caused all kinds of conflicts and stuff, and it was because it wasn't that closed system. Now, look, I got some shit from one of my supporters today, one of my patrons. He dropped support today because I use Audible, and because I use Audible for my audiobooks, and Audible's not decentralized. Well, fuck. I mean, that is just, come on. Oh, what, you don't support decentralization? Of course I support.
You're a statist, Rodger, because you use Audible.
He literally made the case. He made the case that how can I be an anarchist if I use Audible? Is basically what he said. How the fuck dare you? I told the guy, I said, dude, I've done more for liberty this week than you've done all fucking year. So go to fucking hell.
Now you know how I feel about this fucking podcast, Rodger.
That's so
Thank
awesome.
you. Hoisted by your own petard.
Oh, God.
Dude, if I had a penny for every time somebody told me I was doing liberty wrong, I would have been able to quit work years ago. I hear that shit all the fucking time, but you know what? I don't have time for those haters because I'm over here fucking getting liberty for people, especially myself and my family. I don't have time for that shit.
That's true.
Boom.
I mean, it's like, I guess Patreon doesn't even like libertarians and conservatives. And that's like, but they're a good organization for crowdfunding.
I don't care if
right?
they like me. They just need to let me
I don't
host
give
my
a
shit.
shit. Like, how can you be with Patreon? Because they don't even support
years,
libertarians. I don't give a fuck. As soon as you get to a certain level, then they'll cut you off, apparently. And Podbean apparently doesn't like Marc Claire.
Podbean sucks fucking dick. Now that we're
I told you
broken
that,
away
Mark.
from
I
that
told you
shit.
that when I first joined on, and I saw that you were at Podbean. I told you they suck dick. Oh no, they're great because I can lock down my feed for my patrons.
I told him too.
That's probably
shit.
a lot of me lying to myself, I think.
Libsyn or Fireside. Fireside.fm is what I use, but Libsyn's great too.
We're now on Libsyn. We're so
Okay.
happy with Libsyn. It's so much better and functions well, and we don't even need customer service. And then, Patreon is already so much better than everything's better than dealing with Podbean because you don't deal with Podbean. Shit just goes wrong and nothing happens to fix it ever.
It was
shit company.
a Chinese
shit company.
Yeah, it was a Chinese-based company, and then so most of the operations.
If someone told me that, I would have known from the beginning.
Yeah, that's why you can't get customer
Talk
service
about
because
statist.
most of the services are in China, so they don't speak English. So chalk that one up for Trump, I guess. But this is an interesting one that is really tough. Lee Letourneau. I'm terrible with names. Hopefully I got that right. Have you guys talked about climate change? I don't remember. Well, I can safely say that we've gotten to like 3 issues on the 7-ish episodes of the show, and this was not one of them because in my mind this is actually a really tough issue for libertarians and for most people, I think, because to get your head around climate change. So what do you guys think about it?
Marc, come on, that's you, man.
I thought I was hosting this show.
I mean, I did an episode on this. I can't remember what it was called. It was, anyway, I had a witty name for it. But, look, do I believe that the climate is changing? Of course it is. It's been changing since the Earth began, and it's always going to change. Do I have enough hubris to believe that humans are affecting it when it was changing, millennia before humans were ever on the planet, and that supposedly we were affecting climate change before SUVs? I mean, come on, bullshit. I think it's total bullshit. But absolutely, the climate's changing all the time.
See, I'm kind of with Rodger. I think there's too many universities and professors that are bought and paid for by the government to promote their agenda. So I think along with what Rodger's saying, I think that there is change, of course, but it has nothing to do with SUVs, cars, cows farting, you name it. I think it's a lot of bullshit. And so I think we got to, look past it. I think it's in our best interest. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't try to pollute. We shouldn't pollute. We'll do our best.
But it's
just
government
in case.
that allows pollution. Let's be honest. It's government that allows pollution. If we were all a private property society, then you would have a way of stopping pollution because you would tell people, hey, you can't do that shit on my property. I'm going to take your ass to court and I'm going to seek redress for the grievance that you've caused me on my property with your pollution.
Right.
But you
Exactly.
can't do that when government's mandating everything.
I'm with
Government
you,
is
man.
allowing this pollution.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, but I do think that we do have some effect. I think when you look at burning, making palm oil, for instance, and we're burning rainforest to make palm, canola oil, and when we're like cows farting and all that stuff, we're completely changing the ecosphere across the entire planet. So I do think that plays some role. But what's the answer to stopping that? I mean, there really isn't. In my mind, there isn't a libertarian solution. You have to use financial incentive to get people to change their behaviors, and the way that most Republicans and Democrats want to change it is through something called cap and trade, where you go to a company that you basically charge people for the amount of carbon that they put into the atmosphere, because that carbon, for instance, when you're burning a palm field and you're burning up the rainforest, all that black smoke goes up into the atmosphere, and then that ends up on top of the ice caps, which then makes it hotter, which makes it fall in. But charging those companies, it's only going to allow bad actors to skirt around those rules. That's the problem with government solutions, is they never work.
Especially when Al Gore's the one promoting these credits, these carbon credits, and he's a partner in one of the major carbon credit companies in the world. Of course, it's all a fucking scam. Now, I don't disagree with you, Chris, that there might be some human effect on climate, maybe regional, but as far as the claims that the climate scientists are making is complete and utter bullshit. Mount St. Helens, for example, that one eruption put more material, put more CO2 in our atmosphere than anything humanity's ever done, and it had almost no effect on the actual climate of the planet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna blame tragedy of the commons. See, here's the thing:
John,
when you're
you beat me to it. I was about to say.
Here's the point. The reason that these people are doing that is nobody owns that land, right? So they come in there, burn the shit out of it.
Nobody owns the ice caps. Nobody owns where that area is being polluted.
Exactly. So if you had property rights, bam, you're done. You wouldn't burn down the rainforest, and if it was your property, if you did cut something down, you'd replant it. Period. Yep. And you'd be responsible.
Or you would burn down the rainforest, and there would be pollution on neighboring lands that people can actually point to and say, "Look, I'm being polluted," and now we sue you in Liberty Court or whatever. But I mean, when there's actual injured parties involved,
Liberty Court.
Yeah, when there's injured parties involved and injuring parties involved, it's a lot easier than when generic pollution is blamed on generic climate issues that we really can't even pinpoint who is the actual aggressor and who is the actual victim.
I think climate change is actually one of those free market wins that we're starting to see that libertarians don't talk enough about, because by educating consumers are trying to make better decisions, and you're seeing a complete change in their behavior. And as a result, you're seeing people like Johnson & Johnson air TV commercials to the tune of millions of dollars saying, hey, we're good stewards of the earth. And it's like the food system. Just based on Netflix documentaries alone, people are changing the way that they eat, and they're being more they're better informed consumers, so they're making better choices. And that's really the way that it's supposed to work, is that you empower the companies that do the right things, and then the ones that don't do the right things are punished by consumers, and then their business folds up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. For sure. So moving on to the next topic, Dan Smots wants to know how Rodger really feels about taxation.
I was going to ask you that one, man. I was.
Do I even need to say it?
Tell us how you really feel.
If you've ever paid a tax, then apparently you're flying to New Hampshire and you're raping Rodger in the mouth.
In the neck.
In the neck. You are fucking him in the neck when you pay a dime to your local library.
Man.
No, not if you pay it voluntarily. A lot of matter of fact, actually, the first public library in the country was in New Hampshire, believe it or not.
Really?
But there's a lot of public libraries that take voluntary donations. The one in West Memphis, where I used to live, did. And my mother used to donate to them when I was a kid because we got a lot of benefit out of it. So there are some even there are private libraries as well. So.
My local library that nurtured my young brain was the Plainfield Library, and that was started by Andrew Carnegie. I mean, and so
nice.
you don't need the government to run things like the libraries and things like that. So, next question, Mark, do you want to choose the next question?
Oh, I didn't have the page up anymore because you guys had really taken.
Okay, how about this? You get the next question up. Bronson Ryan says the NAP has a tendency to generate a varied opinion. It's a basic premise, but by its application ranges from person to person. It's past my bedtime work for me. I'm going to say I see his point. Like, some people could say, what is aggression? And where do you draw the line when you say it's aggression or it's annoying? You know, like, you may not like somebody's fucking cologne.
Some people literally, some of Chris Spangle's supporters literally claim that I violated the NAP when I was, quote, berating him on the last episode. That's not
that
clearly
aggression.
tells me that there are many libertarians out there that don't understand aggression. Now, was it maybe abusive verbally? Possibly. That's
let's go with yes, Roger.
But a violation of the NAP, that's insanity that libertarians can actually fucking say something so ridiculous. I was blown away by that.
Yeah, the people on the left who claim that that speech is violence, those people are, in the language of Roger, people that need to be fucked in the neck. Those people don't understand the basic tenets that we were taught. Like,
oh, man.
Don't hit your sister. Don't steal their stuff. Right. You know? I mean, this is very basic stuff.
Yeah, but are there some fine lines? Of course there are fine lines, and there always will be. And I think that's why even in a libertarian utopia, there would be courts that would have to deal with those fine lines. And, a lot of that's already been handled through millennia of common law, but those things would have to be refined as life went on. Sure.
Something like fraud, for instance. I think that always has a lot of gray area. I mean, if you murder somebody, that's pretty cut. Even that can have some gray area. Look at OJ, apparently. But something like fraud is very gray. Austin Peterson took a lot of shit for saying that that the non-aggression principle wasn't important or shouldn't be followed. And I went and actually read what he said, which was there are people who the NAP is a good baseline, but it shouldn't be followed like absolute dogma. And in trying to talk to voters, we get too hung up on the absolutes and we lose their attention. And so by walking up and immediately starting to talk about the NAP, then you're doing yourself any favors. You're not really winning voters over. And I can see his argument on that point.
I don't.
I mean, Austin Peterson basically said that anybody that believes the NAP is childish. I'm sorry, but
he did say that.
That's a perversion of what he said. I mean, but he did use the word childish.
I'm looking for the exact quote as I speak. I'm looking for the exact quote, but that's a pretty good
Please don't get on your keyboard.
He certainly
Roger's
wasn't.
Is a violation of the NAP.
He was definitely being provocative. I mean, that his whole point was trying to be provocative to get attention for his presidential run.
Like saying that taxation's not theft.
Hey, I have a question though.
Lying about what somebody said. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, Roger. That's not
We've had this conversation with Mary Ruwart, and I asked her. I said, what if you're grilling outside? You're like cooking steaks. Everyone should have the right to own a grill, but your neighbor, you're cooking next door to her, and next thing you know, she's like, "Oh my God, you need to you got to stop. All that smoke is coming over on my side of the property line." And after a certain point, you go, "Yeah, I'm sorry." You talk to them, or you're trying to be reasonable with these people. But at a certain point, I think it's just kind of gets ridiculous. At a certain point, I'm not saying that. Yes, is there technically aggression? Yes, I guess you could say there was, because she has unwanted smoke near her home.
Well,
but
I think
at the same time,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's where we need to sort of employ the reasonable person argument, and I guess in the libertarian society, hopefully neighborhoods and that sort of thing would already have agreements for most of these things in place, but also agreements for arbitrating disputes like this, because it's not always clear cut. If you're just grilling like a normal person and grilling a hamburger, and technically it's producing smoke of some kind, and technically that smoke of some kind is going to waft through your neighbor's property, that you might be able to say that's technically aggression.
Sure,
but I can
see that.
But it's also ridiculous, as we would all. most people would say it would be ridiculous
agree.
to latch onto that and make a claim against it. Whereas there is a point where maybe you put 20 burgers on and you left the house and there's a freaking fire and that smoke is just pouring over. That is aggression if you're not putting a stop to it. And then I think there's a point where we would all agree. So it's kind of a continuum where the act can be seen as aggression along a continuum, but most reasonable people aren't going to really get on board with it until a certain amount of that aggression, I guess you might say.
And if those things become issues, the free market will fix it. I mean, eventually, if that's an issue and that's becoming a case that's costing people, money and having to pay redress for aggression or whatever, then the free market's going to come up with a smokeless grill or some sort of a grill that diffuses the smoke or something like that. I mean, the free market will come up with solutions to these things that we see that could be problems. And that's what I always get pissed off about is, well, how will anarchists take care of this in utopian society? I don't know, because the free market could come up with a million different ways to take care of that problem. I don't have all the fucking answers, and I don't claim to. 15 years ago, nobody had any fucking clue what an iPhone was, and now half the population has one of them in their hands. Who knows what the free market's going to come up with to solve all of these problems?
I just don't really think it's that big of a deal, though. I'm just saying, I guess there would be a free market solution like odorless barbecues or smokeless barbecues, and I think there is one out there. But I don't think it's really
fuck that.
I think there is one. But it sucks because then you don't get the... That's right. That's all I'm bummed. Yeah.
No, I think that's a good example of why the non-aggression principle is important, because human nature and then really all of the universe is about entropy, where things are always breaking apart and breaking down, and you've got to have some absolutes to judge things by, and that's why these axioms like the non-aggression principle are important, because you've got to have that ruler to measure everything against. Because I don't know what the answer is, but I know that if we get force involved in this particular interaction, if I walk over and punch you in the face for having smoke in my yard, things are going to get immeasurably worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now you're making that aggression worse. You're just ramping it up a notch.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely, I agree. So don't punch me in the face at PorcFest. Chris.
I would never do that. Even though I work out a lot and I'm very swole, I will not do that, sir.
Swole in the head, man.
All right, I think we got maybe one more talking point in us, and this one's a pretty good one, I think, to discuss, to bat around here, from Curtis Barrialt, and he says, I would like to see a discussion on terrorism and rogue nations. What, in the libertarian view, would we do in these cases? And you're already a statist. Roger's going to yell at you for this we bullshit. But I will take a little stab at just the overall concept of terrorism, and I don't know how I think rogue nations is pretty much just a propaganda
a good thing.
term. Well,
I think it's a good thing.
That's the real answer. We should all be rogue nations. But rogue nations is really just a term that the U.S. government uses to describe whatever countries you don't like at the moment. There's really no other distinguishing quality. So I think that's kind of a nonsense term. It doesn't really matter in a libertarian society, because in a libertarian society, you're not going to have a government that is going around trying to take over other governments and labeling them rogue nations and that sort of thing. So, just to the subject of terrorism and I mean, ultimately, in a nation and a country that truly, I think, practices, I guess, non-aggression internally in its own affairs as well as externally, and we wouldn't really have a nation defined in that way in a real libertarian society. But generally, if we didn't, I mean, almost all terrorism is a result of aggression overseas or aggression in certain areas. So while I'm sure there will still be crazy people that do crazy things, there might even be people that participate in terrorism for political reasons, like communists that might want to cause a terrorist attack in a libertarian society, in which case you deal with them like you deal with any other crime. You try to find out who did it, and you take care of them or arrest them or what have you and try them. But the point being, the more libertarian our society is, the less these things are going to even exist in the first place.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point, is that, if it happens, then you deal with it just like any other crime, which is the same way that we should be dealing with these folks that we have, in Guantanamo, for example. But another thing that would happen more than likely to prevent those sorts of things is the same thing that's happening today, but on a much smaller scale and not done by governments. Bob Murphy wrote a great pamphlet called Chaos Theory, where he talks about, private defense, private police, and private courts. It's only like a 60-page pamphlet. It's free on the internet. Definitely check it out, Bob Murphy's Chaos Theory. But he basically says that those sorts of things will be handled by insurance companies. Because if you're insuring your home or you're insuring your building, your business, the insurance company wants to make sure that they don't have to pay out for it. So they're going to do things to try to protect that. They're either going to require you to have some sort of a security, or they're going to have some sort of security. And in the situation of a rogue nation or something, hell, an insurance company that has a huge contract around a specific region may want to put up air-to-air defense, or who the fuck knows. The fact is that just because the government's not doing it doesn't mean that it can't be done. The technology exists. It can be paid for by somebody else. The same question with who will build the roads, who will build the anti-aircraft guns.
Bob Murphy actually debated this insurance this insurance idea on Tom Woods. I'll actually find that, and I will put that in the League of Liberty podcast group, that link, because I thought it was an interesting fleshing out of that particular idea. I tended to think that it didn't make a lot of sense once you extrapolated it all the way up to nations. But I think if you were looking at a pure libertarian society, I don't think you'd have nations in the way that we understand nations now. If we were to take a look at this question as of today, if you were applying these principles today, then I think Donald Trump in North Korea is actually a very good application of what a libertarian would do in terms of dealing with foreign policy establishments and nations. As Marc said, rogue nations is just a term. It's a propagandized term that the foreign policy establishment, the people who meet in the Council of Foreign Relations and the United Nations and Davos, those are terms that they apply to nations that behave in a way that they don't like. Now, obviously, the behavior of nations like Iran and North Korea are aggressive, but you could argue if you were in Tehran that the behavior of the American government is aggressive. But the foreign policy establishment has completely failed on North Korea for 25 years now, and has continued to fund the misery of the North Korean people. And when Donald Trump came in, he said, I'm not going to listen to you people. I'm going to do whatever I want to do and whatever I think is right, and I'm going to be completely pragmatic about anything and not put your phony baloney rules on it. And I am going to open up some back channels and have a conversation with Kim Jong-un. Well, you would have thought that he was actually rising Hitler from the grave and sitting Hitler down and having a conversation. And Kim Jong-un isn't a good dude, but he's not to the level of Hitler. But he has legitimized in some ways Kim Jong-un, but he was already legitimate. He's already the leader of a nation. And he's now sitting down and having a conversation and trying to get security guarantees in a way that the foreign policy establishment in Washington, D.C. never would have let him do if he had been a traditional president in the way that George Bush even or Barack Obama were, because they were constrained by consensus. And I think a libertarian president, if you were to put a libertarian in office tomorrow, should have that same kind of break from consensus. And, I don't think Gary Johnson, that's one of the reasons that I think he wouldn't have been a good president, is that I don't think he had the backbone to break consensus. Bill Weld certainly doesn't.
Not to mention the fact that neither one of them were libertarians.
Okay. So the Pope of libertarianism, everyone.
Hi, Pope.
But I think that the North Korean situation is actually a very good beginning point for how we deal with these rogue nations, is stop all the false narratives and actually deal with the reality of it, and then start working with them. Sanctions don't work. People want to place sanctions. You hear people talking about sanctions all the time. All that does is that makes the country more desperate. It starves the people. It puts all of the power and centralizes it in the hands of people like Kim Jong-un, and it tightens their grip on power as the society starts to collapse. And so the people become more desperate and more inclined to support the central government, because then they have an enemy, which is the United States and Western countries. So in Iran, for instance, they hate their government, but they hate us more because we have basically for 40 years starved the people of Iran. So sanctions definitely don't work. And as Ron Paul says, they're an act of war.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess all this is based on the fact that the government has been using words like, rogue nations. You have to say it with like the deep movie theater voice. This is what they do. They put evil person. This person's a terrorist. You know what? A lot of this is just bullshit. They just want to invade a country so they can take it over for a military tactical footprint in that region, in that country. They're not doing it they don't really give a fuck if people are starving. But if they could find a bad guy over there, we need to send our guys over there. We need to bomb the fuck out of this country so we can save these innocent people who have been attacked viciously by this evil ruler. And then people are like, yeah, that's what we'll do. People don't fucking get it that we are going over there for a tactical hold in that region. In the Middle East, for example, is a tactical regional. They think it's a good tactical or strategic location for U.S. forces. That's why we're over there.
Well,
That's exact. If you listen to Scott Horton, he'll tell you this. Like, this is why we're there. We're not there for anything else other than political and military power, and that nobody can fuck with us, even if they tried. And
It'll
nobody
take them
would.
45 minutes.
And I shouldn't even say us because I'm not part of that, right? But we as individuals, we get that as libertarians. We understand that, yeah, that's why they're using the military for those reasons.
Well,
absolutely.
A great example of that is South Korea. I mean, the reason that
Why
when they talk
are we there?
Well, when they talk about China. So when they talk about all of the things that are on the table for this summit, they automatically say, well, we're not removing troops from South Korea. We want to maintain the security of the South Koreans from the North Koreans. Bullshit. We want to make sure that we have the same foothold against China, which is a rising power. And if we have to go to war with them based on something called the Thucydides trap, which Graham Allison just wrote a book called Destined for War about China versus America, as we're a declining nation and they're a rising nation, those two countries will sometimes go to war, and it was based on Sparta and Athens. And so that's why we maintain that base in South Korea, is because we want the ability to have a foothold in the Philippines and Japan and in South Korea. So as China grows, our military power is virile in that particular area.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, this is what it's about. It's about propaganda. And we are subject, and the American people are subject, or the people in this region are subject to it every day. And guess what? People are eating it up. I mean, every fucking news station there is, they use the same buzzwords. Fox uses it, CNN, MSLSD. They all use the same buzzwords.
You know, the best way to cut through the propaganda is to download the Council on Foreign Relations podcast, or go watch some of their YouTube
I bet
videos.
you that's fucking awesome.
Oh,
I bet you that shows us.
It's like
screaming.
it's like listening to
drink
C-SPAN.
on that show?
No drinks. It's like listening to C-SPAN, but you hear everything laid out. You hear all of their plans. I mean, it is really and so you kind of go, oh, all that shit that you see on CNN is all propaganda, because they will never put this on TV. You know, it's all out in the open in the internet age.
Right. But who the fuck's going to listen to that podcast except for you?
I don't know. That's I listen to it and then I translate it in a fun way on my podcast. That's why.
Right. No, I'm with you, man. I know.
I enjoy it. Okay, I'm a fucking nerd. I like C-SPAN. I love Council on Foreign Relations talks and the Brookings Institute. Like, I listen to shit that would make paint dry 2 times faster.
Wow. Yeah, I just don't have time for that. But I mean, there's a lot of information that's out there that people just don't even know it's there.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. It's there. It's the internet. It doesn't lie either.
No, we only get truth from the internet.
Just the truth. Well, hey guys, you guys want to wrap this up? Because
I thought I was hosting. Yeah, you guys want to wrap this up?
This is offline. You can edit that out.
I'm not editing anything out, Johnny. I'm putting this out as is. Premise, everything.
Okay.
No, but yeah, so why don't we wrap it up? That seems like a lovely idea. I think before we go, it's the last time we're going to talk to our fans. Well, I will talk to my fans. Well, I'll talk to our fans in various ways. Last time we'll do it together before PorcFest. So why don't we just each go around and give our plugs of anything we got going on, anything we want to announce, any updates, and that kind of thing. I guess I will just start and say... if you haven't switched over to Patreon, we are now moving our entire pride off that shitty Podbean platform. You can find us now on patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. Please switch over. We're keeping both feeds active for now. We've got more than half of our fans have switched over, so if you're one of the other half, or you're a member of one of the other 3 shows and don't support us at all, you should also go over and support us, because you love me and you love us, and I put up with these assholes once a month for you, so think about that. Other than that, we're pretty happy with the progress.
You got it so hard, Mark. It's so hard being Mark Claire.
It's tough. Wah. My hair's beautiful and women love me. Wah.
Oh, I live in a state where weed is legal.
So hard being Marc Claire, he had to get a virtual assistant to help out with his shit.
Yeah.
How's Mike working?
We just book up.
How's Mike working out?
We're going to start him on June 1st. So
nice.
Yeah, we're just going to, we want to line up our priorities. But yeah, we just hired Rodger's virtual assistant to help us with some things because we're blowing up. We're taking in over 1,200 right now between Patreon and the other site. We're still moving people over.
Nice.
So that's what's enabling us to go to PorcFest and bring you all this coverage that we're going to be doing from there, and also to go to the LNC in New Orleans just 5 days later. It's going to be an insane week for me, guys. I'm going to PorcFest for 5 days. Then I'm flying back on Sunday night, working at 3 a.m. on Monday and that whole week. And then Friday afternoon, I'm flying to New Orleans where I'm spending 5 nights and 6 days.
Oh, well, I'll be in New Orleans too. We'll have to see each other again.
Yes.
Statists.
Yes. But that's it for me. We're just excited that things are really going well for the show. We're blowing up, and we're going to some libertarian events this year. It's exciting stuff. So, Johnny, what do you got going on?
Going to PorcFest. All right, I'm excited about that. Finally got my tickets and hotel, and looking forward to it, and looking forward to meeting you guys. And right now, we also have a Patreon, so I'm trying to get everyone from the backstage pass from Johnny Rocket Launchpad over to the Patreon page. So if you're with the backstage pass, please, and if you're not, please go to patreon.com/JR Launchpad. And just so you guys get a little sneak peek, big news I'm dropping at PorcFest. So huge news. So I think
you're not
you
going to
guys
drop it until PorcFest?
Johnny's getting married, y'all.
No, I'm not. Well, maybe.
Johnny's
There's a
pregnant.
little baby rocket on the way.
Johnny's pregnant.
I'm pregnant. No. Well, there's some big stuff happening. So I just want to let you guys know that please listen to episode 150 of the Johnny Rocket Launchpad. Huge news. And see me at PorcFest. And that will be the first thing I do there. So
Johnny's
hopefully
running
it
for
will
president.
be fun. I am running for Lieutenant Governor of Washington State. I'm kidding.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, God. That would have been so badass, dude. Holy shit.
All right, Spangle, what do you got going on? I know you got the big breakdown of the LNC chair debate on Thursday, which is exciting for everyone.
Yeah, I
This will
really
be up before then.
I really found a lot of insight in that debate. You had nothing to do with it, but no, you asked really good questions, and it was a really good conversation amongst the 3 chair candidates. And I think it really
Noda for chair.
I think it really kind of exemplifies all of the currents of thought in the Libertarian Party. So I'm going to break that down. For the first time, really, in wall history, I don't have any big project to announce. I'm not working on anything major. I'm just really digging deep, doing hours of show prep for every show, and just really enjoying that. So kind of getting back to the beginning where it was not about building the platform, but really just about doing the show and working on that. So I think the episodes have been really good, and I'm just really enjoying not working on platform stuff and just working on the content stuff. So, and I think it's paying off. So check it out. I don't need to plug our Patreon. I assume if you've made it this far in this show, then you definitely are a Patreon subscriber. So, but bump up your membership maybe if you if you want. So, Rodger, how about you?
PorcFest.com. I mean, that's when I'm spending the vast majority of my time on these days. I spent about 25 hours on it this weekend alone. But it's going to be a hell of a time, so definitely check that out, PorcFest.com. $80 for a full week pass. I mean, come on, you can't get better than that. You are not going to find a libertarian convention, even a 2-day convention, for cheaper than that. So definitely come check us out. And of course, you like Chris said, you guys are, many of you are my supporters anyway, so you know where to get it.
Got to get that VIP pass so you can mingle with us in the VIP tent.
Dude, VIP is where it is at. We're going to have very intimate events with Eric July and many of our other speakers in the VIP tent. Of course, there's alcohol flowing all day. There's going to be breakfast in the morning. There's going to be food in the evenings.
I'm going to live in that tent,
dude.
dude. I'm going to live in that tent.
I, for one, will be showing everyone my VIP-ness.
Chris, we might have to throw you out if you do that. Just
No, just my badge. I'm sure there's a badge for the VIP people, right?
There's a bracelet.
Okay, all right.
All right, folks.
Please don't whip your dick out.
Honestly, I thought you said it was
That's
anarchy.
aggression. That's fucking aggression.
If I want to whip my dick out, don't look at it. Just choose.
If you whip your dick out in a sexual manner towards women that don't appreciate that is aggression, and you will be asked to leave. If
Women?
you don't leave, you will be removed.
No, just Marc.
Oh well, if Marc agrees to it, whatever. I'll give it.
It's the hair.
Trust me, I have seen a ton of naked women at PorcFest. I've never seen a naked dude. Almost naked dudes, but never a naked dude.
Okay.
Now that seems like a good time to wind it down. And
Yeah.
I would recommend asking me about all these things after I participate in the whiskey challenge because my answers might be wildly different then. But guys, it's been a blast. We will hopefully, you'll all hear from us from PorcFest. And until then, you guys know what we say, right? Until then, liberty.
Liberty.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a disaster.
Let's do it one more time.
Second time.
Liberty.
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 Problem is there's no 3, 2, 1, but whatever. It's fine.
3, 2, 1. Liberty.
Liberty.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. I'm keeping
All right,
it
Mark,
all
have
in.
fun editing that one.
I'm keeping it all in. It's going to be easy.